I see my redhead mess bed, tear shed, queen bee me squeeze. The stage smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood, squirt, stuff, shirt like me on a tree. After I count down 3 rounds in hell, I'll be in good company. Down low, couldn't go no further. Proud of and disgusted by her. Push on, little bruised and battered. Oh Lord, I ain't coming home with you. My life's so grim or colder. Dead wife is what I told her. Brass knife sinks to my shoulder. Oh babe, don't know what I'm gonna do. I see my redhead mess bed, tear shed, queen bee me squeeze. The stage smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood, squirt, stuff, shirt like me on a tree. After I count down 3 rounds in hell, I'll be in good company. In hell, I'll be in good company. In hell, I'll be in good company.
That was In Hell I'll Be Good Company by The Dead South, and I highly recommend listening to them. If it's your style, definitely some great music to listen to. Bon locale, mamas, and welcome. Welcome to another episode of 7 at 7 with 7, and as you can see, I am nowhere near where I once was. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you here. It's been a kind of crazy day, kind of crazy week, but you know what? I'm still here, and not even the Florida rains are going to get me down. They're just going to get my tits all wet, apparently. So, let us get right into it with our 7 stories, because we got some good ones for you this week. We are going to be starting off with, where are we starting today? I think we're going to start with a silly story, because this story actually put a fucking smile on my face. It made me giggle, because any way you look at it, it's fucking hilarious. So, not everyone on the internet is pumped that Skittles went white for Pride Month. Yes, this is real. This is not a fucking joke. Skittles actually made their bag of Skittles, which is a rainbow, white for Pride Month. I mean, they could have done nothing, and it would have been a better decision all around. But you know what? They made their decision, and it's fucking hilarious to me. A bag of candy has become the unlikely focus of an internet debate, goes Time magazine, or Time.com, I should say. Skittles, the official Taste the Rainbow candies, ditched its signature rainbow of candy colors in favor of an all-white appearance for one reason. My chat's not working. Oh shit, I gotta fix that. I gotta fix that right the fuck now. I'm sorry, just a second. Copy. Paste. There we go. Now we've got our chat on. The font's a little fucked up. Let me just fix that 1 second. I can fix that pretty quickly. Font size 18. fix yourself. Thank you. Alright. The Skittles are white this month because, as the message on the back of the limited edition bag puts it, during Pride only one rainbow matters. So we've given up ours to show support. What? Oh god, this is... oh, fucking hell. Fucking hilarious, in my opinion. Because who in their right mind? Who in their right goddamn mind? Anyway, but since March, for some, the white bag and the white-only coating on the shelled fruity treats was considered a misstep that raised the issue of exclusion. Critics took to Twitter to share that they felt the new direction was inadvertently tone-deaf, rather than supportive of LGBTQ people, as the company intended. Because this is absolutely what's important to be bitching about on Twitter when we face a possible thermonuclear war with North Korea. What in God's name are we doing in this world? Let's read some funny tweets, shall we? Also, do white Skittles feel a little racist to anyone? Skittles realized how white/capitalist Pride was becoming and wanted to join in the efforts. Interesting. Others shared that they loved the semi-brand new bag, finding it a positive public relations move on behalf of equality for lesbian, gay, and bisexual and transgender people. LT, quit your shit. LT. Yeah, because she's being a brat. LT, go position, now. All the way. I know you want attention, and I know you've got a new friend, but you gotta chill. No, 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 position. Marcia, all the way. All the way, get those elbows down. I know. No. Stop. Stop. You are being very rude. I'm in the middle of a show, girl. Position. Thank you. Laszlo? Sorry about that. No, it's alright. With a new place to live comes new additional training for my dog. I deeply apologize for the interruption. People, LT, quit your shit. You're fine. People are hating on the LGBT Pride Skittles because they are white, but I love them so much. What a strong statement to make about equality. And here's a picture of the white Skittles. They are very white, like pridefully white, I would say. I love how Skittles give up their rainbow for Pride. It's quite subversive and humble. Hashtag Pride Month. Loving that Tesco, Camberley are selling these awesome Pride Skittles. There's always one rainbow in our house, but your rainbow there is missing the new 2 colors, so looks like somebody missed the memo. There's supposed to be a black and brown stripe on the Pride flag now. According to Wrigley, the company that produces Skittles, proceeds from sales will also benefit charity. Now that's actually cool. I appreciate that. That's awesome of them. The company did not immediately respond for a request to comment on this story. There were a lot more tweets I saw. This article actually got edited from the time when I was reading it before, and good God, was there a lot of hate for the Skittles. Which, again, this is one of those subjects where I'm just like, why the fuck are we even talking about this? Because why would Skittles do this? They're certainly not doing it for anything but bringing attention to themselves. They already had a goddamn rainbow. Their slogan is taste the rainbow, for goddamn sakes. And yet, here they go, throwing away their rainbow because only one rainbow matters. I think all rainbows matter, personally, since... well, let's face it, there have been a lot of reasons for people to appreciate rainbows, to look into rainbows, to look up at rainbows. Rainbows have always been a religious symbol, until very recently. For those who don't know, the Christians especially believe the rainbow to be a covenant between God and man, that God won't lose his shit and flood us again. But I just wanted to get that story out of the way because it made me giggle earlier. And I really think everyone should go out and buy a bag of white Skittles. Just for the hell of it. I mean, seriously. Even if they, even if you have no interest in the political matters, Skittles have become a surprise bag. You don't know what fucking flavor you're getting. You don't know what you're putting in your mouth. You're like, okay, is this gonna be lime? Is it gonna be lemon? Is it gonna be orange? Is it gonna be strawberry or whatever the fuck the red flavor is? I think that that's fun. However, I also think that Skittles has gone a little too far out of their way to try and get some attention for themselves in relationship to their rainbow. And the backfire is glorious. I'm not a huge fan of consumerist mistakes like this because that's what it is. It's a selfish mistake on their part attempting to put their name in a relationship with Pride Month, and, well, that never turns out well. Patriarchy Bear is repeatedly pointing out that they look like cum, and yeah, they look a lot like little beads of cum. It's also really weird putting it on a black back or a white background like that in the picture, because it's like, wait, where are the oh, those are the Skittles. Because that's a really fucking white shade of white. I do wonder, though, if the white supremacists are buying them because they're white. I mean, milk and white t-shirts, anything and everything that can be turned into a white supremacist symbol is because idiots keep trying to jump on that train as if white supremacy is anywhere near a problem in this world. Or at least this country. I shouldn't say this world because there are some places. However, we need to move on to our second story, and our second story today is a little more important because Rand Paul will not be bribed or bullied to vote yes on the Graham-Cassidy healthcare bill. Let us watch the video for now. Forgive me if this is a little bit laggy on y'all's ends. I'm trying out a new browser. How are you guys not getting my audio? Shit, that's my fault. 1 second. Add existing. There we go.
President Trump to vote for a last-ditch GOP effort in the Senate to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, saying that he, quote, won't be bribed or bullied. In an early morning tweet, Trump warned Paul that if he failed to vote for Senators Lindsey Graham and Bill Cassidy's health care proposal, he would forever be known as the Republican who saved Obamacare. But in a series of tweets following the president's post, Paul contended that the Graham-Cassidy measure does not fulfill the GOP's longtime promise to repeal the ACA, and ultimately keeps Obamacare's taxes and spending. The new proposal needs at least 50 votes to pass the Senate, with a tie-breaking vote from Vice President Pence, and backers are scrambling to round up the votes before a September 30th procedural deadline, after which the measure would need a filibuster-proof 60 votes.
Alright, so yes, if you watched last week, I talked a little bit about die. Stop it. Stop. Pause. Quit your shit. Please. Yeah, I am not liking Pale Moon's latest version. No, quit your shit. Oh my fucking god. Mute you. Paused. Alright, Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky pushed back on Friday against pressure from Donald Trump. I said pause, you asshole. To repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, saying that he won't be bribed or bullied. In the early morning tweet, Trump warned Paul that if he failed to vote, you already heard all this shit. Let's go through Senator Rand Paul's tweet, shall we? No one is more opposed to Obamacare than I am, and I've voted multiple times for repeal. The current bill isn't repeal. Now, that's actually true. It's a movement of the bill from the federal government to the states with 10 years of, in the ballpark of $1.7 to $10 billion allocated for all the states to implement their own healthcare programs. That said, it's also the closest thing we have to an actual American program for healthcare that we've seen thus far, and that's why I'm conflicted about the situation, because I'm usually on Rand Paul's side with shit like this. He is, very much Dr. No's son, and I very much adore his family's tendency to buck against, or what is it, kick against the pricks, is that the saying? And yeah, it's really weird for me. I'm actually torn between the man I voted for and the man I would vote for if I lived in Kentucky. Don't fucking, what are you fucking doing, browser? Quit your shit. Alright, let's start closing some other tabs. Close tab. We're just gonna move forward on this story because The Hill has been a tab that's been fucking with me all day. we're gonna come down here and check on the other person who is fucking with this bill, which is John McCain. Now, John McCain of Arizona announced on Friday he would oppose the latest proposal to repeal the Affordable Care Act, leaving Republican leaders with little hope of succeeding in their last-ditch attempt to dismantle the health law and fulfill their long-standing promises to conservative voters. For McCain, it was a slightly less dramatic reprise of his middle-of-the-night thumbs down that killed the repeal effort last July. This time, the senator, battling brain cancer and confronting his best friend in the Senate, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Oh my god, I am so pissed. I should have just fucking used Brave, but now everything's all fucking locked up. Alright, we're killing this window. No, because the other window won't show up. Son of a bitch. I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties, everyone. I hope it's not too much of a bother. But this shit is not cool. I'm so sick and tired. I mean, I have an amazing computer right now, and it is running like shit because of shitty fucking websites. Oh, god damn it. Alright, die and then force you to reopen. I might actually have to go to the goddamn YouTube website and reopen all my goddamn tabs. Die, goddammit. No, not that window. Well, now you've got both windows. Isn't that beautiful? Come on, Pale Moon. Bring me back that session. Thank you. Thank you. Fix your shit. Save. Save. Alright, stretch you down a little bit more, please. Thank you. Alright. Who issued a state... Okay, confronting his best friend in the Senate, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, and issued a statement saying he could not, in good conscience, support the proposal by Senators Graham and Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. I believe we could be doing better to work together, Republicans and Democrats, and have not yet really tried, Mr. McCain said. Nor could I support it without knowing how much it will cost, how much it will affect insurance premiums, and how many people will be helped or hurt by it. Now, I've actually read the entire text, the entire fucking 60-page text, and I hate long bills. Can't stand it. It's the exact opposite of what we should be doing, but hey, it's what we've got. And the length of the text goes into mostly rewording things. Some of those rewordings reduce numbers down to $0. Some of those rewordings are entire changes to sections of the original Affordable Care Act, which move all of the power from the federal government into the states through financial allocations between now and 2026. And most of the changes are a form of repeal, right? Not a direct repeal in which the technically illegally, or not illegally, but executively ordered law has been put into action and taking a lot of the power out of it. One of the biggest things that it does is just completely undoes the 130% Medicare expansion, which is a huge problem. Now, yes, this is absolutely going to transform insurance rates, but at the same time, the bill also provides for, what's the word I'm looking for? Relief for insurance companies for the sake of addressing those very costs. So the government is still in the business of working with insurance companies. However, they're doing it at a state level at this point, right? Alright, so Rocky Schumacher in the chat says McCain is a cancer on the brain of the Congress. I don't think Congress has a brain. Have you ever heard the saying that the average IQ of a group, or the IQ of a group is, you know, the lowest IQ divided by the number of people? Yeah, Congress can definitely be described as such. Sevvie said, "Die, goddammit," as soon as I typed that. Well, yeah. I wouldn't mind if all of cancer got... yeah, let's just start calling Congress cancer, shall we? I don't think I would terribly mind if all of Congress got brain cancer for a few days or months, or just a lot of chemotherapy would do them well, I think. With 2 other Republican senators likely to vote no, Mr. McCain's opposition to the bill could be fatal. With Democrats united in opposition, they're not. I'm going to get to that momentarily. Senate Republicans can afford to lose only 2 of their members. Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, said he would not vote for the bill because it did not dismantle enough of the Affordable Care Act. Senator Susan Collins, the Republican of Maine, has expressed broad concerns about the legislation, strongly suggesting that she too would vote against it, as she voted in July along with Mr. McCain and the 3rd Republican Senator, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. Ms. Collins on Friday said she was leaning against the proposal. Now, here's the thing. They're talking as if these 3 Republicans are going to be the tipping point. However, with 52 Republicans against 48 in the Senate, we are looking instead at pretty much 49-51 unless we get an 11th hour swap over, which Trump has proven he is very good at getting. With Lindsey Graham on his side, Bill Cassidy on his side, and I know at least one Democrat. I'm trying to remember the name, but I'm not remembering it very well right now. We are going to see a very tough fight that might have to be decided by the vice president. That being, the vice president's job to solve 50-50 splits in the Senate. That said, the president has been meeting with people like, what's his name, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Chuck Schumer is undoubtedly going to take the supportive position on it after the many talks that the Trump administration has had with him and Nancy Pelosi. Unless I'm mixing up my representatives and senators again, which is a strong possibility. It's been a long fucking day. I literally just got out of the rain maybe half an hour ago. So, fuck me, right? But here's the thing. If they don't disassemble the Affordable Care Act, the Affordable Care Act is going to continue driving up costs. It won't be fatal. It'll just be the end of the argument for it for this year, basically. There won't be enough time in the rest of the year to propose another repeal and replace act, right? And the fact of the matter is, so long as we keep messing around with this, we're going to be in this position where people like me, people who need medical attention, are going to be finding it more and more difficult to get the assistance they need. Fuquad in the chat, says, the U.S. medical system needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. Costs are too high because insurance companies are overstretched covering small shit like yearly checkups. Absolutely. And that is one of the reasons why the interest is to move it back to the state level. However, the $10 to $17 billion allocations for the states are kind of insane, considering that those dollar amounts are basically insured by the insurance companies, right? And there was something else I wanted to mention about this that's really bothering me, but I'm just not remembering it off the top of my head right now. I was thinking about it earlier, but my memory problems are fucking shitty problems to deal with. For months, McCain has lamented a Senate legislative process that avoided hearings or formal bill drafting procedures and excluded Democrats. It didn't exclude Democrats. Democrats excluded themselves. Let's just make it perfectly clear. The Democrats have wanted to do nothing with the president because they want to play the exact same game the Republicans played for 8 years, because God forbid they actually think of something themselves or do something effective and creative, right? We should not be content to pass healthcare legislation on a party line basis, as Democrats did when they rammed Obamacare through Congress in 2009, Mr. McCain said. If we do so, our success could be as short-lived as theirs when the political winds shift, as they regularly do. Unfortunately, I can't actually argue with McCain's statement there. That is a very applicable statement to most of politics, right? And the fact of the matter is, healthcare in this country is a fucking nightmare. We're not one country, we're 50 fucking states. And due to the distinct natures of each state, the distinct needs of each state, the types of populations I'm in Florida, for fuck's sake. This is where people come to die, literally. And until they do, they are dependent on one of the most stringent and painful Obamacare programs in the country. And it's under the direction of federal law, it is actually much worse down here than it could be. These allocations actually make good sense for states like Florida, for states like Washington and Oregon, places where the average age is higher than 36 and medical expenses are a lot higher. California being a very mixed population state and one that kind of wants to divide itself into multiple states, is very hard to pin exactly where they would come out on this, but of course they would be against it entirely. But even California has a lot to gain by the federal mandate of Obamacare being redistributed to each of the states, being redeclared as the purview of the states. And when it comes to this country, I will always take the state option over the federal option. I really, I was actually looking at it the other day, and I'd love to go through some of the points of the Obamacare, of the repeal and replace bill. So let me find that for you guys right quick. I will just sit here and talk to you face to face for a minute while I look this up. Graham-Cassidy, not Sassity. I linked it on Twitter, but I'm not sure where I put it. If I can find... Here it is. I believe this is the one. Fuck it. Open in Firefox, you asshole. Alright, so this is... Alright, Title 1, Section 101. Elimination of the limitations of... let me pop it back over here and switch this over for you. Properties. Thank you. Alright, yeah. Doesn't look nearly as clean. I apologize. Let me fix that for you guys, because... There. I like my pages. I like my view looking good. Elimination of the limitation on recapture and excesses of advance payments of premium tax credits. Yeah, this is a whole bunch. What we're looking here for the beginning, first off and foremost, what you'll notice is everything is relative to taxable years ending after 2019. So what we have here is a change to the Internal Revenue Code affecting... No, you know what? This is the wrong thing. This is not it. That's the budget. That's the Budget Act. Go away. Properties. God damn it. I know it's around here somewhere. Of course, I get all the news articles, but not the actual fucking... Because it was... I know it was on Graham-Cassidy's website, but Graham-Cassidy's website isn't... Graham-Cassidy. Bill Cassidy's website. No, that one's not it. I'm really hoping this one... No, this is a letter to... This is a letter to Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer from Bill Walker, Steve Bullock, John Kasich, and John Hickenlooper. Well, I'm not going to find that on the short notice, so I'm not going to waste y'all's time with it. However, we are going to jump back over to this in order to finish the article. A bill of this magnitude requires a bipartisan approach, Mr. McCain added. Those concerns were compounded by the decision of Republican leaders to press forward with a vote next week before the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office could complete a full analysis of the Graham-Cassidy legislation. None of the news agencies like to talk about the fact that everyone is pushing this in such a way that it has no choice to be done at full fucking speed. Right? No one has a choice in this matter. You have to vote yes or no, possibly without even reading the text. And the text has only been available for, I want to say, 5 days? So the fact I was able to read it when I did, and I'm definitely going to find it and link it for you in the description box below. But when I did, that was still a brand new draft. Changes have been made to it since then. The question is, do these people even know what they're fucking voting on? Whatever, let's continue. The Budget Office is expected to provide a preliminary fiscal assessment early in the week, but it would not be able to compile an analysis of the bill's effects on health insurance coverage or premiums by September 30th. However, the Democrats will not let this thing be voted on by, before or after then. What do we got going on here? Some people are talking in the chat. Rocky Schumacher says, insurance and college tuition have gone insane inflation rates over my 50-odd years, both due to government meddling, in my opinion. Jacob Brown says legal papers were a nightmare to read for public policy course projects. Policy analysis. Yeah, public policy papers are really difficult to read, especially when they serve only to act as edits. Because I don't know if you guys have seen the way legal documents of that variety tend to be written, but the way it's written is, a change to this sentence of this section of this paragraph to be added before the period. A change to this sentence replacing the number 2 billion with 0. An allocation of $10 billion. I'm working off of my shitty fucking memory here of the actual document, of course. But you actually have to go through it side by side. That would actually make a great video this week. I'm going to do that. I'm going to work on that tomorrow for you guys. I'm actually going to go side by side with the Affordable Care Act and the Graham-Cassidy bill and detail what Obamacare would be after it passed. Because it would still be Obamacare, but it would be a completely bastardized and redesigned Obamacare with some of its worst qualities still in play. That date is critical because Republicans, who hold 52 seats in the Senate, have until the end of this month to make use of special budget rules that would allow them to pass a repeal bill in the Senate with only a simple majority rather than 60 votes, and with the Democrats in such a position to block basically anything they absolutely need that simple majority win. If Republicans could get 50 votes, Vice President Mike Pence would break the tie in their favor. Of course I'm disappointed, Mr. Cassidy said in an interview, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop working for those folks who can't afford their premiums. We're still working, we are still hoping. Mr. Graham, mindful of their long-standing relationship, was gracious. My friendship with John McCain is not based on how he votes, Mr. Graham said, but respect for how he lived his life and the person he is. Hello, Levi. I'm so glad to see you. President Trump, who has promised to scrap Barack Obama's signature domestic achievement, said late Friday he would not abandon his goal. Maybe we're going to be doing it now. It's a little tougher without McCain's vote, I'll be honest, he said Friday at a campaign rally for Senator Luther Strange, Republican of Alabama, who is locked in a tight primary runoff for his seat. The most will be is 1 or 2 votes short, Mr. Trump said. You can't quit when you're only 1 or 2 votes short. You just can't do it. And those people are not going to be liked by the communities they come from. That's another important thing to note. We're talking about people who have constituencies. And not gerrymandered constituencies. This is the Senate we're talking about. There are 2 senators per state and 50 states. So there's going to be entire states full of people who are run by Democrats who are about to say, look, this bill actually fixes our finances. Why did you vote against our interests? And if you're in one of those states, I do recommend writing your senator, emailing your senator and telling them, look, if you vote against this, you're voting against your own constituency. Arizona, I'm looking at you. A spokeswoman for the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, declined to comment on whether he would... Kentucky, there's another good state where you want to be reaching out to your senators. On whether he would press forward with a vote. Democrats have vowed that if the repeal legislation could be killed, they would press to resume bipartisan negotiations on legislation to stabilize health insurance markets under the Affordable Care Act. Now there is a fucking telling bit of information. The Democrats know that Obamacare is completely destabilizing the insurance market. And this is what the entire fucking story comes down to, isn't it? The entire story comes down to the fact that the Democrats are holding the healths of their own citizens hostage for the sake of fighting against someone they just don't like. That's fucking disgusting. I'm not happy with everything Trump's done. He has grown more and more authoritarian with each month, and I am not a fan of authoritarian politics. But I'm not going to sit here and be a fucking no Nancy like these fucking cunts, because I recognize that this bill can be just the first step in a proper dissolution of Medicare expansion, of insurance-controlled hospitals, of all of the problems we have for healthcare in this country. Republican leaders squelched those talks, led by senators that, no, they didn't. They stopped the Democrats from being filibustering idiots, is what they did. Led by Senators Lamar Alexander, Republican of Tennessee, Pat Murray, Democrat of Washington, fuck the Washingtonian senators, as they pushed for passage of a full repeal bill. Yet you're not... Here's the thing. A full repeal bill is actually going to cost our country a metric fuck ton. And I recognize that. Because if you do a full repeal, like just right out the gate, and here's the... Okay, let me get to that in a second. But a full repeal bill means completely rewriting the budget. Because the budget is basically circling around 2 things. The Defense Department and an outrageous, out-of-control spending budget for fucking healthcare. There's no stopping the amount of problems that we are going to have financially if A, Medicare expansion keeps allowing the 130%, which has proven to serve absolutely no one who actually needs it, and a lot of people who are taking advantage of a system because they want their country to be Europe. If you don't like it here, go to fucking Europe. You can get raped by Muslim rape gangs all you want. I'm sure the healthcare is a lot better for, once you get raped, you got that free healthcare in Germany, got that free healthcare in Sweden, right? John McCain shows the same courage in Congress that he showed when he was a naval aviator, said Chuck Schumer of New York, the Democratic leader. I have assured Senator McCain that as soon as repeal is off the table, we Democrats are intent on resuming the bipartisan process. There's the other fine detail, my friends, and thank you to New York Times for at least making it apparent. Because that's the trick, isn't it? Trump had to avoid the word repeal entirely. He had to give the Democrats what he wanted. And when Chuck Schumer votes yes on this bill, it'll be because the word repeal is not found anywhere in the text of the bill. It is all about the reappropriation of funds over the next 10 years for the purpose of building up state by state insurance and federal funding assisted programs. We are going to see better competition between insurance companies. Not great competition. Your premiums are still going to be shit, don't get me wrong. I've been looking into this shit, and I recognize that my insurance premiums will probably go down from maybe $1,000 to $700. That is not much better. If the bill dies at the hands of Senators McCain, Paul, and Collins, it would be another blow to Mr. Trump, who tried to pressure Republicans to fall in line. Rand Paul, or whoever votes against the healthcare bill, will forever, future political campaigns, be known as the Republican who saved Obamacare. That is, of course, the real Donald Trump, and I'm just gonna hit that retweet button. Oh, no, I have to log in because I haven't logged in with this browser. Never mind. It would also be another setback for a party that now controls the White House and both houses of Congress, but has not been able to produce any bullshit, no major legislative achievements. The fuck are you talking about, New York Times? The budget? Yeah, he had to give up on the wall temporarily. I'll give you that. But the last 7 months, the last 8 months have been a flurry of legislative and executive decision that have rapidly freed up our country. Hell, Betsy DeVos is going to be transforming Title IX and giving men back the right to say, no, I didn't rape her. Giving men back the right to say, she raped me, for fuck's sake. And it's been, you know, a messy time. Donald Trump having come in with an insane number of very extreme members of his cabinet and slowly having to replace them for the purpose of fixing himself from a right wing into a centrist position has made a lot of, difficult decisions which look absolutely horrific on in the news. But the news has done nothing but prove themselves to be masters of yellow journalism. So the fact that these articles that I'm finding and bringing to you now are slightly better is not indicative of anything on their part. They just want to condemn a man they don't like. It's a loss for Republicans. Representative Mark Walker of North Carolina, chairman of the Conservative Republican Study Committee. I think we're going to be held accountable to some degree. What that means in the next year's elections, I don't know, but this is going to bite for a while. The Graham-Cassidy bill would take much of the money provided under the Affordable Care Act and send it to the states, as I've been trying to repeatedly talk about, with vast discretion of how to use it for healthcare or coverage. And I believe the states deserve that discretion. I don't like the numbers that they're providing, but that discretion is absolutely fucking needed. The bill has been met in the last few days with a torrent of criticism from consumer groups, doctors, hospitals, insurance companies, governors, and state Medicaid officials, none of which want to take responsibility for the utter bullshit that is their careers. Yeah, they're being paid to do as little as possible for the people who need it the least. I am not surprised these groups are trying to defend their ability to do less. We're going to skip over this one because that's just another McCain story and jump into something a little more personal to me. It's disgusting, she says. Can I open up the original? Can I do that? Copy, open, no. Open, Control VV. Let's open the original so you guys can see the video too. I didn't realize I was looking at the archive. Now let's just watch this video and, hate someone together for their utter tastelessness.
Hey guys, today I'm going to show
fucking ads. Alright, we're gonna mute that for the ad, and I'm just gonna... Nope, shut up. Just gonna mute the ad and let it go through, because got a little scroll bar showing us the time of the ad up here. 7 seconds left. I'm just talking over it because fuck this shit. Forgive me for all the technical problems. Nope. Alright. Nope. That was me being dumb. Let me rewind that shit. Come on. Thank you.
I'm gonna push it just like I did. There's nothing you can do about it. It's nothing. I'm leaving because the food is nasty and there's a dog. So what? What do you want to do about it? Nothing.
He's alive because he fought for our country.
Congratulations! Congrats! So did my husband's dad. My husband's dad did too. What's your point?
Because he's alive.
My husband's dad fought for the country. So did we.
That's why he has a
So
dog.
what? It's still nasty to me. I don't care.
No, it's not.
It's nasty to me. You can't.
What do you recommend?
You can't change my goddamn opinion. So I don't care. It should be a separate section for animals.
Well, make it all.
Separate section for animals.
They go each separate section.
Shut the hell up. And if you care about your shut up. Who's gonna make me?
Stop.
Are you gonna make me?
Just stop
Are you
it.
gonna make me?
Just stop
I didn't think so.
It's enough.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so.
Hey,
I didn't think so. What do you want to do?
Hey.
Nothing, so shut the hell up.
hey, why don't you just calm down for 30
Nothing, so
seconds?
shut the hell up. Like I said, it's
Why don't you just stop and just calm
Then you
down?
have a choice to
should've
go
given me.
someplace else.
She came over here.
You got a choice to go someplace else.
What the hell do you think I'm doing? Until the whore behind you stopped me, I was angrily moving somewhere else. Okay, but don't get into my goddamn face when my daughter's standing there. I don't give a That's rude. You call me a whore? You are That's what you are for being. You're approaching me in front of my goddamn child. You're more than a whore. Yes.
I just have to pause this for a second because I just realized the advertisement that popped up next to this. Seize your poise moment. Oh, so many menstruation jokes. So many menstruation jokes. Let's get back to it.
No, you didn't approach. You didn't ask me a question. You came at me. It's the difference. I got no problem with answering a question. You came at me. So guess what? You gotta come as a threat. I'm gonna make sure I address it. Dumb. You got the right one. Like I said, it's rude.
Oh, get the last word. Stop. It's enough.
I'm sorry.
Alright, so as you can see, in Delaware, a woman lost her fucking mind over what I think is one of the most beautiful service dogs, other than Elty, of course. Elty is far more beautiful. But, I mean, look at this beautiful... No. Where's the beautiful dog? Come on. There's that beautiful pupper. PTSD service dog. Properly wearing a backpack. Has all his identifying tags. The motherfucker is wearing his hat. He's wearing his fucking army cover, for fuck's sake. And this woman serves to prove everything I hate about women like this. They will do anything if it affects them. And it doesn't matter what they're affecting. It doesn't matter what they're doing. You hear the woman in this video talking about her child. If that's how she treats people, I really have to wonder how she treats her child. To the article. A video of a woman screaming about a veteran service dog being inside a Delaware restaurant has caught the attention of the internet. It happened at Kathy's Crab House in Delaware. The unidentified woman was filmed screaming about how disgusting she thought it was an animal was inside the eatery. Kathy's Crab House addressed the incident and announced that it will be sponsoring veterans and service animals fundraiser in a statement released by their Facebook page Wednesday. That statement reads, "We would like to express at this time how sorry we are for the embarrassing turn of events that occurred earlier this week in our restaurant here in Delaware City. It is unfortunate that some of the public are not familiar with federal regulations regarding service animals, which, in fact, do permit service animals into establishments such as grocery stores, public buildings, and restaurants, giving aid and comfort to their masters in time of need." And that man clearly needed it with that insane woman. Could you see her eyes? I don't know if you guys could see her eyes in the video, but that woman was fucking crazy. Like, bug-eyed crazy. Like, I can't even imitate that because I'm not that insane. That being said, we would like to take what may have been perceived as a negative incident and turn this into a positive opportunity by educating and enlightening the public about the role of service animals and how they help and serve many returning veterans who have suffered serious wounds and injuries, as well as those veterans suffering from PTSD. So at this time, we would like to announce that we will be sponsoring a fundraising effort for veterans and service animals through the Montana Wounded Warriors. We would like to assist your help as a sponsor, volunteer, or as a donor to help us enlighten and educate the public, as well as help those veterans in need. Details need to be finalized at this time. No, go away. Stop fucking with me. Details need to be finalized at this time, but as they come together, we will make additional announcements to keep you apprised of our progress. You can Google Kathy's Crab Shack, and you will find their charity to redirect to the Montana Wounded Warriors, which is one of 3 groups in the United States, including you've got Montana Wounded Warriors, you've got Service for Servicemen, I think it's called, and then the Wounded Warrior Animal Project, both of which are out of Texas. And these groups, all they do is train dogs. Hell, train dogs better than I've trained my dog, to serve as service animals, PTSD comfort animals, assistive animals, animals that will carry heavy loads for their masters. They will, if they're crippled, these dogs are trained to be able to pick their masters up, to go for help. Some of the dogs are even trained to do things like dial 911 or call another family member if a situation gets out of control. So, for the next week, I'm probably going to be praising Kathy's Crab Shack, the Montana Wounded Warriors Project, and the Service Animals for Servicemen Project, because it's just amazing what they're doing, and this woman does not deserve to get what she wants, because it's not gross. These animals, much like mine, once they enter a place that they're familiar with, a restaurant, a grocery store, their behavior goes directly into work mode. They know that once they are there, they are supposed to sit calmly or lay calmly next to their master or under the table, depending on their size, and mind their own business until they leave. LT is exactly the same way, and while she may be a little rambunctious at home, when we go out, she is a perfect fucking angel. She does her job, and seeing this gorgeous Dalmatian mix, let me scroll up so I can show you again, because it's an absolutely gorgeous Dalmatian mix. So beautiful. I want to say Dalmatian and possibly Rottweiler mix. He's just sitting there chilling, not letting her, not letting this bitch get on his nerves, and calmly accepting that the most important thing right now is to stay calm, so Master stays calm. And you know what? I think he did an amazing job, because that woman was in his face, and I highly doubt it would have taken much for him to break her bitchy little neck. Alright. We are going to actually be looking at one more article. Well, not really article. We're going to be looking at poll. Because, oh my god, the hot takes in this. The hot takes on this situation over at 8chan are fucking hilarious. Lol, I read this story this morning in my local newspaper. Didn't even need to read any more than the headline because I knew it was Baya. By the way, OP doesn't mention it, of course, but she tried to say the vet spouted some that's racist shit before the recording starts. If you were listening, you can actually hear people calling her out for trying to say it was racist. And of course, that's totally why she was in mandrill mode. They hate dogs. They only ever have dogs to act as guards for their drug operations. Let's keep flipping through some of these hot takes, because you really can't mess with a veteran's service dog. That's just such bad form. It really is. From what where was it? Animals don't belong in restaurants. In all honesty, neither do small children. Fuck you if you're one of those people who changes diapers on the top of the table too. I'm kind of with them on that one. If you change diapers on a table, fuck you. Alright, here's something I really liked reading. A service dog is not just an animal retard. They are highly groomed and trained to assist people to have a normal functioning life. What the fuck is the problem with having dogs in a restaurant? I don't even care if it's not a service dog. 50 years ago, no one in the Western world would bat a fucking eye at someone bringing a dog in as long as it behaved. And as you can see, even in the face of someone losing their mind, this dog behaved. A normal dog will just lie down under the table and not annoy anyone. Precisely. This is all Marxist hysteria, just one of the many things these retards are pushing through into their nanny state obsession. Who cares? People with allergies? And it goes on and on. This is also linked in the description if you want to read it. When they own their own dogs, they never bathe them or take care of them, so their animals are actually dirty and possibly carry parasites. The irony here is it isn't the animals' fault that their owners are scumbags that don't know how to care for dogs or cats. And then here's the hot take I really appreciated. Hey retard, it wasn't the chef's dog taking a stroll through the kitchen. It was a patron's dog sitting next to their table in the dining area. And this is just such a cute picture. Oh my god. Look at this dog. Oh, I would send you, but not to die. I would send you to get pets in the Middle East. Oh wait, they'd eat you there. Well, we better move on to the next story before someone realizes what a stupid take I just let out. China detects a 3.4 North Korean earthquake, and fears of a new nuclear test apparently are unfounded. Go away, fucking get the app ad. So for those of you who've been keeping up, North Korea has now performed 6 nuclear tests, with each one providing an earthquake of approximate magnitude between 5.6 and 6.3. But a real earthquake from the very northern section of North Korea, up in the fucking mountains, that in a place where they only have military bases. A magnitude 3.4 earthquake at a depth of 0 kilometers was recorded at near the Kilju area of North Korea Saturday. Although initial reports suggested it may have been the result of a nuclear test, it seems more likely the quake was naturally occurring. Now here's the thing. That question is still up in the air, right? Because while a 3.4 earthquake does not indicate a rocket launch because, well, North Korea isn't good at launching rockets, the depth of 0 kilometers is very unsettling because you very rarely hear about depth 3.4 depth 0 kilometers earthquakes. The depths are usually, you know, at least tens of kilometers down in the very least. Which leads me to think that that was a failed test launch as compared to a successful one. Just a rocket blowing up on a pad because there is a rocket launch pad there. Although initial reports seem to suggest it may have been the result of a nuclear test, it seems the quake was naturally occurring. The quake occurred approximately 8:30 p.m. Saturday, 8:30 p.m. GMT Saturday, the CENC reported. Kilju is home to the Punggye-ri nuclear site, where North Korea's 6th and largest nuclear test was conducted on September 3rd. That's what inclines me to believe that it was a failed test, and they just blew up a rocket without it being able to leave the ground. There were conflicting reports as to the strength of the quake, with South Korea's weather agency reporting it measured 3.0 on the Richter scale, as cited by the country's Yonhap news agency. Although Japanese news agency Kyodo reported the quake as caused by a suspected explosion at the site, both South Korean and Chinese meteorological services have since dismissed this. I am still not with them on that. I am honestly believing there's a lot of cover-up of mistakes that occur in North Korea, and this just seems like a very, very lucky mistake on their part. A sound wave, which is usually generated in the event of an artificial earthquake, was not detected. However, if the explosion happened in a shallow silo, for example, that sound wave wouldn't have occurred, that sound wave would have gone directly upward, but not have the circular broadcast range. Oh, apparently Patriarchy Bear farted while he was over North Korea. That's what caused it. Okay. CENC also said the tremor wasn't caused by a nuclear explosion and had characteristics of a natural quake. Lucina Zerbo, Executive Secretary of the Nuclear Proliferation Watchdog and Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, also confirmed the initial tremor and a second seismic event that took place roughly 50 kilometers from the site of the previously confirmed tests, adding that they were unlikely man-made. However, there's one other option here that no one's talking about, and that's natural aftershocks of man-made behavior. And that's the one thing I wanted to bring up with this story, because I don't think anyone's talking about that. Set off enough, missiles with 6.3 fucking earthquakes, and you're going to create seismic counteractivity in the tectonic plates near you. What's it called? North Korea is on a series of fault lines, which basically follow the border here kind of loosely. So it doesn't surprise me that finding an earthquake this close, 50 miles away, would occur. However, I am not a seismologist, so take what I say with regards to it as a grain of salt. But don't forget that North Korea has tested 6 nuclear-capable missiles in the past 50 days. Analysts looking at unusual seismic activity of much scalar magnitude in the Tipjar K. Update, Korean Peninsula, unusual seismic activity, latitude 4166, longitudes 129.76. MB is the strength, 3.5. 50 kilometers from prior tests. 2 seismic events, 8:29 UTC and a much smaller one at 04:43 UTC, unlikely man-made. Similar to collapse event 8.5 minutes after DPKR6. See, Zerbo is saying the same shit I am. If you look into this shit, if you read into this shit, there's a distinct chance that they are creating way too much seismic activity on their little island too close to fault lines. To date, the North Korean regime has carried out 6 nuclear tests, with all previous tests registering above 4.3 on the Richter scale. The most recent, on September 3rd, was recorded a 6.3 magnitude quake, reported by routers. The September 3rd test spurred the latest raft of UN sanctions and has raised tensions between the US, its allies, and the North Korean regime. South Korean talk of appeasement with North Korea will not work. Donald Trump adds. Pyongyang has blah 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 blah. Saturday's quake follows an escalation of the combative rhetoric between North Korean and US leaders this week. Kim Jong-un and President Donald Trump have exchanged a variety of barbs through the state media and agencies, and Twitter respectively, in recent days. And if you've been paying attention to that, you're probably fascinated by the fact that Kim Jong-un uses Twitter. I mean, that alone is far more impressive to me than any failed nuclear tests. Oh, Devin Valdry in the chat says, oh god, North Korea is trying to set off the ring of fire. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he actually thought he could do that. I mean, he certainly has a few solid targets and the right weapons to do it. But I mean, honestly, have you been paying attention to the amount of shit that's coming out on Twitter from North Korea? This is hilarious. As a country that has never, ever spoken like this about shit, never spoken publicly, only ever using their official media outlets to make announcements and then having other news agencies repeat the announcements. Seeing North Korea be a little bit more direct through Twitter is fucking hilarious. On the subject of dogs, notably, I wanted to bring up one other story If you're going to be visiting the Ukraine anytime soon, be sure not to pet the radioactive puppies of Chernobyl. I don't know about you, but I've found out how I want to die. Because this is exactly how I want to die. Because they're adorable. Look at those little babies. Oh, I want to love on them and pet them. I hate Vice and Motherboard notably, but...
In addition to a herd of wild horses as featured in the longer Chernobyl video, I encountered one more species around the exclusion zone. Puppies. These guys are outside the power plant's canteen, 1,500 yards or 1,400 meters from Reactor 4. Visitors
Pet
are
the fucking
advised not to
dog!
touch the animals in the exclusion zone because they can carry radioactive particles in their fur. It goes without saying that I really wanted to pet this puppy.
Anyone want to die with me? Because, yeah, I want to die of puppy petting. I want Doom puppies too, P-Bear. Look at these babies, these poor babies. And I mean, they're gonna die before they're 7 of cancer anyways.
Dogs aren't ubiquitous in the exclusion zone, but do tend to cluster where food is nearby, like the canteen and this small market.
I want to adopt all of them.
Wildlife in Chernobyl has enjoyed a relatively human-free existence. As a result, Chernobyl's animals are not as afraid of people. Great strides in decontamination have been made over the last 31 years. Most notably, a giant covering was moved over the reactor in November 2016. The new safe confinement
20 years later, 30 years later.
Cleanup is scheduled to continue in Chernobyl until at least 2065. But these guys don't seem to mind.
Yeah, so anyone want to go die with me in Chernobyl? Because I want to adopt those dogs. Every last fucking one of them. In the wake of the catastrophic Chernobyl nuclear power plant meltdown in 1986, people rushed to evacuate, and many were forced to abandon their pet dogs. You fucking monsters! Take your dogs with you. I don't care what the disaster is. Take your dogs with you. Now, like some kind of atomic age fairy tale, the feral descendants of those deserted animals roam the ghost towns within the Chernobyl exclusion zone, a patch of land 1,000 square miles around the destroyed plant where the contamination is most severe. These radioactive puppies have proliferated in the wilds of nuclear fallout and are profiled in the above documentary Puppies of Chernobyl by filmmaker Drew Scanlon, who also happens to be the guy in the blinking white guy meme. In addition to gifting the world one of the most beloved reaction gifts of all time, Scanlon is producing a travel series called Cloth Map, which led him to meet some of Chernobyl's some estimated 900 stray dogs. They're part of a resurgence of animal populations at the site, which is almost entirely devoid of people, the accordant ecological damage that normally comes with human inhabitants. Wolves made a major comeback in the CEZ over the past 3 decades, and boars, deer, and elk have thrived in the absence of settlements. It may be as long as 20,000 years before the area is safe for human habitation again, so this turf will remain largely undisturbed for the foreseeable future. Because the fallout puppies could carry dangerous radioactive particles in their fur, visitors are warned not to touch them. This leads to some excruciating shots in the documentary, staring at puppies who seem to really crave a friendly head pat or belly rub. I know! It breaks the fucking heart watching him have to step away from that puppy. If your heartstrings are pulled, check out some of the fundraising efforts to provide medical care, humane population management, and comfort to Chernobyl's vibrant canine community. I hope I broke your heart, because this story fucking broke mine. When I saw it, originally I saw it just as a tweet, and like everyone else, it was, you know, well, guess I'll die, because I'm gonna pet those puppies. I love the puppies. I love them so much. But yeah, this is where we've ended up with Chernobyl. These animals who have, you know, fur which may collect radiation on the surface but also protects their insides somewhat decently, are most likely to, have very shortened lifespans and are much more prone to cancer. However, they're living decent lives. I mean, they're growing and thriving, and they are moving into the human inhabited portions of the exclusion zone, as Russian dogs are wont to do. And it's just, I don't know, it's heartbreaking. And as much as I hate Vice, I'm very thankful that they put up this piece. But now that we've gone through that, now that we've had our little bit of adorable, we have to move on to the last story. German election 2017. Because it is time to find out who's going to be the next Chancellor of Germany. There's a lot of question about whether Angela Merkel is going to make it. Polls and odds tracker. Will Angela Merkel remain as Chancellor? This is from Yahoo News, because it was actually one of the better articles I had found. The German election takes place this Sunday, with Chancellor Angela Merkel heavily favored to defend her position against Martin Schulz for a fourth term in power. That alone creeps me the fuck out. Polls currently show that Merkel's Christian Democratic Union, with its Bavarian sister party, the Christian Social Union, will be the largest party after the Bundestag election on the 24th of September, but they will fall short of a majority. This is common in Germany, and so the resulting parliament is in part determined by how the smaller parties perform, and in which coalition possibilities will be born. Each person in the German voting system casts 2 votes in the Bundestag election to allocate a total of 598 seats. Half of these are to elect a local MP by constituency in a first-past-the-post fashion. For those of you who don't know much about first-past-the-post, CGP Grey has some amazing videos on elections in which he describes first-past-the-post, proportional elections, and everything of the sort. So go to CGP Grey and watch his videos on the matter, because I'm not going to describe the entire workings of German elections to you here. The remaining 299 votes are elected via party lists, allocated near proportionately to the party vote share in each of Germany's 16 federal states. I don't know if you knew, but Germany has states, 16 of them. To be included in this seat allocation process, the party must achieve 5% of the national vote. The second round of seat allocation also means that the total number of MPs can be higher, with politicians elected in overhang seats in order to balance the state and constituency level votes. The most recent parliament had 32 overhanging seats, taking the total up to 631 MPs. This allows the voters to represent their interests locally through their chosen representative, as well as nationally in the party they feel will be strongest in the Bundestag. In the end, the seat share for each party ends up being very similar to their vote share, unlike the system used in the UK's parliamentary elections. Yeah, the UK has a fucked up election system. I'm not even going to begin to try and explain that. Here's an infographic, by the way. Each person casts 2 votes in the Bundestag election. Vote for candidate, candidate A. Vote for party, party B. The candidate is elected via first-past-the-post. 299 seats are to elect a local MP by constituency. Now the party then has another 299 votes to it, which are allocated by proportional representation and selection via party lists. And these are allocated to the party's vote share in each state. This brings us to a total of 598 seats, and then more often than not, politicians are elected in overhang seats in order to balance the state and constituency level votes. Merkel's CDU is looking to most likely win the most seats in the Bundestag for the 4th election in a row. The SPD, led by former President of the European Parliament Martin Schulz, is in second place in the polls, securing a quarter of the votes. The AfD, Alternativen für Deutschland, the far-right Alternative for German party, had enjoyed a slight rise in the polls in 2016, but have since collapsed into infighting and unpopularity. That's not entirely true. It's not infighting, but we're going to be getting to that story rather soon. In reality, the CDU will have to seek a coalition government with the SPD or one of the other minor parties in order to form a government. We should know now who has won the election by 6 p.m. BST this Sunday, when voting ends and exit polls are released, although it won't be several more weeks until a coalition government is officially agreed upon. A late surge in the support has propelled the far-right Alternative for Germany party, who isn't far-right at all, they're perhaps the most centrist party that exists with power in Germany right now, into third place in the opinion polls just days to go before the ballot. Last time around, the party, fighting in its first federal election, it failed to win a constituency outright and fell just short of the 5% required in order to secure MPs via the secondary proportional representation stage of the election. But 2017, they're well above 10%. Well, I should say not well above, they're at about 11%. And this was as of yesterday. This time, however, they seem guaranteed to win representation in the Bundestag, with the latest polling average putting them at slightly over 10%. YouGov's multi-level regression with post-stratification model puts them on 12%. Were the AfD to secure a third place finish, they could find themselves becoming the main opposition party in Germany if Merkel's CDU/CSU party decide to extend their grand coalition with the SPD. Now, support for the AfD is strongest in northeast Germany. However, this is still pretty impressive considering the CDU and what's the other one? I can never remember the miniature one. SPD have a lot of power down here, right? So this is the resistance over here, and this is the we're fucking German, let us be German over here. The center-left Social Democratic Party, center-left, has been in coalition with the center-right CDU and the current government, as well as Merkel's first term. I would definitely call the CDU center-left as compared to... I personally think most political compasses are remarkably offset right now by the horribly leftist position that most politics are coming from in the media. So whenever people say these things, I always adjust their center and try and figure out where the politics actually lie. The polls are currently suggesting that Germans are content with their current government, which means a grand coalition could happen for the third time in just 4 elections. Another option is a black-yellow coalition. That scares me, considering black-yellow is, another curious flag color, consisting of Merkel's CDU party propped up by a smaller Free Democratic Party. This would take Merkel over the target needed for a majority, and was an option the party opted for in 2009 to 2013. The only situation that poses a risk to Merkel's leadership is a left-wing red-red-green coalition, led by SPD's Martin Schulz. For this, he would have to gather enough seats together alongside the Linke and the Grüne parties. So what do these parties stand for? The Christian Democrats, the leading party in Germany, headed by Angela Merkel, is called a center-right group due to their Christian affiliations. However, I consider them far more center, which is kind of weird because I don't consider Merkel center at all. They're made up of the Christian Democratic Party and the Bavarian Christian Social Union, and they have employment, tax cuts, and ongoing public investments at the forefronts of their manifesto. Employment and tax cuts, yeah, I would agree with those being slightly right-wing, but public investment, I don't, especially in Germany. The Social Democrats, led by Martin Schulz, is a center-left. No, they're pretty fucking hard left. And they are vying to make another grand coalition to remain in government. The party pulled well following the election of their new leader, but then suffered once again in regional polls. The SPD is traditionally a working-class party. Hint, hint, hint. Pledging investment in education and infrastructure funded by higher taxes for the rich. The Linke Party, or Left Party, is led by Sarah Wagenknecht, I can't pronounce her name very well, I apologize, and loosely descended from the East German communists. This small party, often used as a protest vote, is campaigning for a rise in the national minimum wage and a rejection of military missions abroad and the dissolution of NATO. Fascinating, isn't it? They actually want the dissolution of NATO. The Grüne Party, led by co-chairs Katrin Göring-Eckardt and Sem Özdemir, so bad at pronouncing German names. This party could be the coalition kingmakers. They rely on educated urban citizens focusing on the environment, taxes, and social policies. The Free Democratic Party, led by Christian Lindner. The party was Merkel's junior coalition party in her second term. It failed to reach 5% of the vote to allow another coalition in 2013. The party campaigns for tax cuts and to remain in financial markets, particularly within the EU. And of course, the Alternative for Germany is a right-wing populist party led by Alice Weidel and Alexander Gauland. The party is hardline anti-EU, anti-immigration, and have attracted votes from almost all the other parties, especially lower-income households. Alright, Autocrene Green Moon, who I believe is in Germany, I'm not positive. You should play the EU fighting game based on the German election. They say it's not possible to win with the Greens. Yes, it's not possible to win with the Greens. However, if the Grüne Party and the Linke Party join up with the Social Democrats as opposition to the CDU and the AfD, then we're going to see one of the scariest things you're going to ever see in Germany. Another socialist-run fucking economically sound party. I mean, people talk about Angela Merkel being a terrifying chancellor, but she's not as terrifying as the Social Democrats, the Linke, and the Grüne all in one coalition. And this is why I'm actually very glad to see that in the last year or so, the Alternative for Germany, Alternativen für Deutschland. Tell me if I'm remembering how to say alternative in German wrong. Please let me know, because I mean, German is not a language that I'm very well educated in. But I am well educated in their politics because I've got a lot of German friends. And I'm very impressed with AfD because they are sticking up for the poorest parts of Germany, which are also in part some of the most populated parts of Germany, both with German citizens and refugees. What are the betting odds for the German Bundestag election? Political pollsters have taken a beating recently after failing to predict a British-hung parliament in 2017, as well as the Donald Trump victory in November. But for those who lost faith in polling, there's another way of predicting electoral outcomes, and people who are prepared to put their money where their mouth is. Many now believe that political betting markets can better predict elections, relying on the wisdom of the crowd and punters to sort and weigh all the possible probabilities. Corral's latest odds for the election have Miss Merkel as most likely to continue as chancellor after the election. The latest odds for the party to emerge with the most seats are 1 to 100 CDU-CSU, 16 to 1 SPD, 100 to 1 AFD, 100 to 1 Die Linke, 100 to 1 Grüne, and FPD is also at 100 to 1. These are completely untelling. Oh, that's actually a great quote. Ottakeen Greenmoon says, "The Greens are scary because they are idealists. Traditional, they have been a big enemy of the Pirate Party. The one thing in common, they are both so-called pan-European movements," yes. And, well, I'm against the idea of pan-European movements in general, because what the fuck? Stop trying to remake the goddamn Reich. You aren't gonna get your Fourth Reich, Germany. It's just not gonna happen. If you get too close, just like Icarus, you're gonna melt your fucking wax wings. Let's go on to Reuters' analysis of this, because I thought that this was an interesting article as well. German Chancellor Angela Merkel poised blah 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 blah. Merkel is widely expected to cruise to re-election, with the Schulz Social Democrats trailing by double digits. But the far-right alternative for Germany could emerge as the third largest party, complicating the outlook for her next coalition. A new INSA poll published by the Bild newspaper showed sliding support for Merkel's conservatives, who dropped 2 percentage points to 34%, and the SPD down 1 point to 21%. Both now joined in an unwieldy grand coalition. That is the one thing that the SPD is worried about, if I recall correctly. Right? The SPD has to make a decision, because they're not going to get together with the AFD. But they have to choose whether they're going to stand by what they believe in their, in my opinion, hard left positioning, and going with further hard left individuals as well as the Green Party individuals. Or joining up with Merkel and sacrificing like half of their fucking political positions just to have political power. The anti-immigrant AFD, meanwhile, rose 2 percentage points to 13%. This is an article from today, by the way. Cementing its bid to be the first far-right party to enter parliament since the end of World War II. I don't consider the National Socialist Workers' Party to be far-right. I consider it to be authoritarian left, but closer to center-left. I mean, let's face it, Hitler changed politics whenever it served him. And the Nazi Party was far more left-wing before it came into power and adopted right-wing principles and financial necessities once they were there for the purpose of maintaining power over the economic strengths that Germany still had. Admittedly, you know, at that point Germany also had money that was worth nothing whatsoever. Go Google for wheelbarrows of cash in Germany 1922, and you'll see what I mean. Merkel urged supporters to drum up voters by focusing on conservatives' efforts on behalf of families, a pledge to avoid tax increases, and emphasis on increasing security in Germany. The Christian Democratic leader also lauded the role of the European Union in providing stability in a troubled world. Are you kidding? You are making the problems. Fuck the EU. Fuck the European Union. By continually taking advantage of every other country in the European Union, including those which are available, which are with, you know, technically in the Schengen area, but not Europe, but are in the European Economic Area, not the actual European Union? Fuck your opinion, Angela Merkel. I'm so sick of listening to your shit. We want to boost your motivation so that we can still reach many, many people today. Many are undecided, Merkel said, before heading north to her home constituency. Which she will win, by the way. I have no doubt she's going to win her fucking constituency. In Greifswald, she led a crowd in practicing CPR as loudspeakers blared the Bee Gees song, Stayin' Alive. I should be in better shape with the international media here, but I'll give it a try, a smiling Merkel told the crowd. Yeah, First elected in 2005, Merkel remains popular in Germany, but has regularly faced jeers and whistles from the left and right-wing demonstrators during rallies during this campaign. In Munich on Friday, Merkel defended her 2015 decision to admit 1 million asylum seekers on humanitarian grounds, but pledged to prevent a repeat of that crisis because she can't get elected unless she changes her fucking opinions. Right? She has to fucking bounce left and right and cover her own ass, or else she's not going to maintain this Hitler-esque chancellorship. In the western city of Aachen, Schulz pledged to fight for every vote until the polls close at 6 a.m. He said high voter turnout was vital to offset a growing support for the AfD, who he described as a party of haters. Gee, I wonder if we're going to see the same kind of voter fucking manipulation that we saw in France. Young people, think about Brexit. Think about Trump, he said. Go vote. Oh, fuck you, Schulz. You're not even making any political points. You're just going to emotionally manipulate people by saying Brexit and Trump? Fuck you. Schulz said the SPD overcame resistance from conservatives in their coalition to push through minimum wage, same-sex marriage, and other social priorities. These were decisions that actually did amazing things for the SPD. They have made amazing grounds in politics because they've been able to force the so-called center-right Christian Democratic Union into making these, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, like, Merkel basically had to be forced to allow same-sex marriage to pass. She had to be fought tooth and nail until she finally decided she would not repeat the 1 million refugees problem that she's dealing with constantly. And Germany, just like Sweden, deals with a large rape gang problem, a large bathhouse rape problem, a large public pool rape problem. Basically anywhere where someone might see some skin, refugees commit rape. And I don't have to tell you that. You can go over to Crouch channel and see his numerous videos on the statistics of refugee crime. Schulz vowed to push for further reforms, including better elderly care facilities, affordable housing, an end to discriminatory practices that harm children of migrants, and free childcare. Merkel's internal minister, Thomas de Maizière, told the internet provider T-Online the government would combat Islamist terrorism by strengthening European borders and bolstering security at home. He criticized the AfD as a wolf in sheep's clothing and said that Germany's BFV domestic violence agency was studying whether right-wing extremists are seizing power and exerting influence on the party. Sound familiar? Arkin Greenmoon in the chat says, so it has begun in Germany as well as the paradigm shift. The paradigm shift is finally hitting them. She will likely survive, but I bet she will take a hit to the amount of seats. Same as the Labour Party in Norway. I completely agree with that analysis. That is actually exactly what I think is going to happen. And next election, I think the CDU is going to actually have to sit down to the SPD because, let's face it, with Germany's history, they are going to be paranoid. And they are going to vote against a controlling right-wing party. However, by doing so, they will allow the communists into their country. And that will cause a lot of fucking problems. The AfD was founded in 2013 with the original goal of opposing large bailouts of financially strapped Eurozone countries, but from 2015 shifted its focus to migration. Mainstream parties have ruled out governing with the AfD. Yes, the one party that will not be getting any coalition offers is the AfD. That's why I keep bringing up the possibility of the SPD Linke Grüne coalition, because Everyone's ignoring that, and it might not take form now, but it will probably definitely take form in 5 years. It has come under increased scrutiny in recent weeks after its top candidate, Alexander Galland, said the German integration minister should be dumped in her parents' homeland of Turkey, and that Germans should be proud of what their military did in World War I and II. That's a tough subject to defend, because it's pretty fucking general. Jewish and Muslim groups say the AfD's rhetoric has opened the door to more hate speech and anti-Semitism. Joseph Schuster, president of the Central Council of Jews in Germany, told Reuters that he feared the AfD's entry into parliament would change the public tone in Germany. I think the public tone in Germany needs to change, personally. I worry the AfD will aggressively deepen divisions in our country, he said. The AfD, which has already won seats in 13 of 16 state legislatures in Germany, has promised to re-energize debate in the federal parliament after 4 years of what it calls boring rule by Merkel's Grand Coalition. AfD executive board member George Paderski told Reuters the party was seeing a huge increase in support. People are no longer ashamed to come to the AfD and identify with the AfD. Electoral arithmetic might yet nudge Merkel to renew her coalition with the SPD, or she might opt for a three-way alliance with the pro-business Free Democrats and environmental Greens. FDP chief Christian Lindner told a rally in Dusseldorf his party hoped to be the third biggest force in parliament, but would only govern if its demands and conditions were met. We won't govern at any price, he said, suggesting the FDP could potentially have more impact in an opposition force, which they absolutely can, and as a left-wing opposition party, they are the best positioned to keep a, red-red-green, or a red-blue-green coalition from taking shape. Which brings us to the last story, which is the reason that I've got Germany on the mind. The AfD has accused Google of sabotaging their campaign, because they have. Der Spiegel has learned that Google has refused for more than a week to place certain ads for a controversial anti-Merkel website created for Alternative for Germany. The right-wing populist party said it will respond by spending its budget for the project on Facebook instead. With less than a week to go before the German federal election, things are heating up on the campaign trail. This was like a couple days ago, by the way, but it's just some interesting additional information coming from the rather broad and problematic control that the oligarchical internet companies over here in the States are exerting all over the world. For the right-wing populist Alternative for Germany party, social media has become critical. By placing ads on Facebook, Twitter, Google, and YouTube, the party is able to reach its supporters directly, enabling it to bypass a critical news media. The trouble has already started with signs by campaign manager Thor Kunkel with slogans like burkas, we prefer bikinis. I don't know if you guys saw that ad, but it was fucking brilliant. As part of its digital campaign strategy, the AfD has brought on American consultants with the Harris Media Advertising Agency. The Texas consulting firm specializes in customers with controversial messages, who range from Donald Trump and the gun lobby to France's far-right Front National. Their task is to adapt Kunkel's print campaign for the digital world. 2 Harris employees have also embedded themselves in the digital war room inside the AfD's national headquarters in Berlin. But it appears the American pros are running into hurdles with one of the most important advertising platforms around. Officials with AfD have complained that Google is blocking large parts of its advertising campaign. We aren't having difficulties with any other platform, said campaign manager Kunkel. He said that Facebook and Twitter are treating AfD like a normal customer. But Google is sabotaging us, creating a disadvantage for us relative to our political competition. The dispute shines a spotlight on the role the U.S. internet giants are playing in the current German election. For the first time, the criteria used by major American internet platforms to decide on what paid political content can be disseminated to their users and what cannot is playing a central role in a German election. Political advertising is a lucrative industry, and in addition to the free services they have to offer... Oh, here's that beautiful fucking ad. Burkas restern auf Bikinis. Tradisch Deutschland. Alternative 4. Also, great fucking butts. I love the butts they chose for this advertisement. Practically all the political parties in Germany are paying to place ads with Google and other platforms. AfD campaign manager Kunkel said his party has been splitting its digital budget in equal parts between Google, Facebook, and Twitter, at least until problems began with the search engine giant. To advertise an anti-Angela Merkel website alone, the party had planned to spend a sum in the mid-five-figure euro range, Kunkel said. The website in question, developed by Harris Media in accordance with Kunkel's guidelines, is at the heart of AfD's digital strategy. The only indication that the site belongs to the AfD is buried on the imprint page, and the site's message is as ugly as it is tough, and it is dedicated entirely to the incumbent Chancellor Merkel, the AfD's favorite nemesis. The site I recognize that it's not controversial, Atakeen, but this is Der Spiegel. Der Spiegel is in Merkel's pocket. Like, literally. The site vilifies Merkel as a perjurer and essentially as an accomplice to murder. The AfD strategists have created a montage and spooky, flickering black and white portrait of Merkel, with the square around Berlin's Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church in the background, where an Islamic State-linked terrorist killed 12 people with a semi-truck in December 2016 and injured many more. Because, yeah, we don't want people remembering about the trucks apiece, do we? No, we don't want people thinking about that. We want them thinking about nothing, apparently. Because I don't know if you've been paying attention. I don't know if you've been looking at everything Merkel has had to say and do, but she's not talking about politics. She's putting on a show to continue being a figurehead, and she's not going to actually change much of anything. She is more of the same, 4 more years of the same. I think I said 5 years earlier. I think I was confusing France and Germany's political terms. The right-wing party now wants to massively promote the website, which it launched on September 11th on social media. But Google and its subsidiary YouTube have objected to the site. A lengthy email exchange between Harris Media and Google's AdWords team, which has been obtained by Der Spiegel, indicates that the disputes have been swelling for weeks. AdWords procedures enable companies or political parties to participate in an auction to place ads on certain search terms. As soon as their target group uses those search terms, the winning bidder's ads are then displayed for those users prominently in the form of either links or banner ads. These paid results in the results list are small and labeled with the term ad. Harris Media documents indicate that the AfD has large sums of money at its disposal in order to place its anti-Merkel content on Google advertising channels as prominently as possible during the last stretch of the campaign. The plans include purchasing search terms, banning ads, banner ads, and replacing YouTube campaign spots. Running YouTube campaign spots. My eyes are going cross-eyed, I'm sorry. It also bought the rights to search terms on Google's, including Angela Merkel, Kanzlerin Merkel, and using the German word for chancellor. But for the last week, an eternity as the election enters into the home stretch, the right-wing populists have failed to drive the desired traffic to the anti-Merkel site. Instead, Google has sent a small series of emails with problem reports or subject lines like ad rejected. The party claims the reasons provided constantly change, as do the contacts sending the messages, which are coming from higher and higher ranks within the company. Most recently, the ad sales team wrote that the anti-Merkel site wasn't working correctly and claims that employees at Harris Media a claim that employees at Harris Media were quickly able to disprove. They were told that statements made in the ad and on the website were inappropriate because they could hoax the customer. You mean like Angela Merkel has been doing for 12 goddamn years? Finally, a further mail sent several days later stated that the text ad would now be unblocked for Google search results. But that video ad and banner ad were still under review because they were believed to contain dangerous and degrading content that violate company policy. It says police, but they meant policy, I have no doubt. The AFD website is indeed quite degrading to Merkel, but in the past, Harris Media has always been able to iron out similar problems its customers are having with placements on the internet advertising platforms. The marketing company has a reputation for the aggressive messages and methods it uses on social media. In the United States, the company has been able to rectify similar situations within 24 hours, Kunkel said. He said that the experienced Harris employees who were sent to Germany have already spent millions on advertising with Google and had never before experienced a dispute lasting more than a week, like the one between the AFD and the internet giants. The AFD campaign chief believes that Google is conducting inadmissible interference in the formation of political opinions here in Germany, a problem I will say is very familiar from the US, French, and UK elections that we've seen in the last, year and a half. But those regulations further state that all political ads placed on Google and destinations that they link to must comply with local campaign and election laws for any area the ads target, which they do. Party officials at the AFD assume they are the subject of a politically motivated boycott and intend to respond with one of their own. The party is now planning on taking the money it had earmarked for ads on Google and instead spend it on Facebook. The AFD also plans to follow up its anti-Merkel campaign with online ads aimed at mobilizing voters in the final days of the election. Campaign manager Kunkel is planning to expand the party's Germans Dare to Do It campaign in the form of an online map of Germany upon which AFD supporters can drop pins. It will show our potential voters that they are no way alone in their immediate surroundings. Ultimately, the beneficiary of the dispute between AFD and Google might be Facebook, the same company that generated negative headlines in recent weeks for allowing ads to be placed for users interested in terms like Jew haters. Just a few days before that, the company had been forced to admit that a company with ties to the Kremlin had succeeded in placing Facebook ads totaling $100,000 during the US election campaign, focusing on divisive domestic policy issues. No! Russia was literally trying to defame Clinton because Russia was terrified they were going to start a war. Thought Clinton was going to start a war with Russia. Do I think Russia should be making advertisements in our country and on Facebook? No. But that is not a divisive domestic policy issue. That is an international policy issue. In response to a question about the company's meeting with AFD officials and its handling of the party's controversial ads, a spokesperson for Facebook said, Facebook is a politically neutral platform and is available as a contact for all parties that are campaigning in Germany. And that brings us to my own little editor's notes from the day. The reason that we're talking about beautiful dogs in Chernobyl and service dogs in Delaware, the German underdogs, and of course the insanity in Korea is because our world is on very, very thin ice. Politics are very, very difficult to even talk about in one's own home because I know even the person with whom I stay doesn't completely agree with my politics. But I'm not going to change my politics for anyone, and nor do I think anyone else should either. I don't think Facebook should be in the business. I don't think Google should be in the business of picking which advertisements and which political parties are allowed to advertise. nor do I think that any of these groups should be immediately slandered as Nazis after the Nazi Party was disassembled and the culture of our world became entrenched in preventing such utterly disturbing amounts of murder. But that murder wasn't due to nationalism. It was due to socialism. Look at Russia. Look at Indonesia. Look at all of these places where the depths of socialism have led to millions of murders. Look at Mao's China, for fuck's sake. Because that's what we're looking at in every country in the world right now. Every Western country, in the very least. Mao's China has repeated itself time and time again in the manner in which we do our politics. For people to complain about Nazis is remarkably short-sighted and completely ignores everything that happened after World War II. It upsets me, it bothers me on a very personal level, because the stuff I even want to talk about, the news articles that are most important to me, well, I won't be talking about those anytime fucking soon, will I? There's more news that has come out about the Seth Rich case, for example, and I would adore spending time talking about that with y'all. However, that is going to have to wait for next week as I gather more information, because while CrowdStrike has been revealed to be multiply funded by the DNC, as recorded by the FEC, links available in the description below, this is not as important to talk about right now as our rapidly dissolving peace treaties and trade agreements across the world. China is getting sanctioned, and they're going to sanction us right back. Russia is under extreme sanctions for acting completely outside of good faith. And the people who are actually working in bad faith within my country, within Germany, within France and England, don't even have to address their problems. But we can't spend all our time talking about them, can we? We have to spend time thinking about the fact that North Korea is testing its missiles. North Korea is probably going to fucking nuke Japan if Donald Trump keeps going back and forth with Kim Jong-un over Twitter. Because Kim Jong-un is a child, and Donald Trump is a narcissist. I'm not trying to talk bad of either of these people. However, it's important to recognize that this is the reality of the world we live in right now. No one in power is truly respectable. We don't have a Neville Chamberlain in office right now, anywhere. We've got fucking drug-addicted models running Canada and France. We've got a woman who hates being German running Germany. We've got the craziest right-wing bitch in the UK. And everything seems to be right on the teetering edge of what could be World War III. However, I don't think that's what's coming, because World War III should have already happened multiple times over. We don't do World War III anymore. We do the same thing we did back in the 1800s and the 1700s. We have proxy wars. I really don't like proxy wars. I really don't like any of that shit. I don't like that we play these political and economic games, but that's the world we're in right now. So you need to know about it. You need to know this shit, so you know when Germany turns into either extreme centrists, as it will be called, or, you know, another fucking Reichstag. You gotta know what's coming. You gotta know what parties are involved, and you gotta know who got fucked the most. Because I may not like anything the SDP has to say And I might think that the populist party of the AfD is a little extreme in their marketing, but they all have their right to their opinions, including Angela Merkel. You know who doesn't have a right to his opinion, though? Kim Jong-fucking-un. That motherfucker is a terrorist without anything stopping him. He's a terrorist with an army. And he is sitting there testing weapons, launching them over Japan, launching them into the Sea of Japan, and causing great destabilization in the fucking Ring of Fire. China is doing everything in its power to protect itself both from the worst ally they've ever taken, as well as the United States, who is, due to all trade and non-aggression agreements, completely within their rights to move in with the military and say, alright, you're done, We're completely within our rights. The only thing stopping us is the remarkably left-wing and, to a degree, politically, what's the word? Forgiving bullshit that comes from the far left-wing party that's running South Korea right now. Until South Korea asks for help, we can't actually take action. But there's a chance South Korea won't be able to ask for help, and that terrifies me. That horrifies me, because it won't end up as a world war. It'll end up as a very complex proxy war in which the United States stands behind Japan and South Korea, and Russia and China create a coalition which is technically allied with the United States until we go too far, which we are so prone to doing. Thank you so very much for joining me for this show. I am so glad to have done it. I've needed to do this show. I love having a regular news show for the week. And this Saturday, I get a lot better views on Saturday for streams than any other day of the week. And I'm just so thankful all of you have been watching, all of you have been enjoying. I do need to reach out and say, if you are able to, please consider donating at one of the following links that I'm going to link in the live chat. I need $100 by Monday, basically, in order to pay the new landlord who's giving me a place to stay. And I would really like your help. I'm gonna be trying to find other ways to get it too. I'm very likely to get it, but it would make my life so much easier if you could help with this. It's $100 just to pay the rent for, this section of the month, because my rent is only going to be $250, and I already make that on PayPal. So I don't have to actually ask for more at this point. I'm already making enough on Patreon. I'm already making enough on Patreon to pay my rent. However, there's this $100 that needs to be spent for this month here that I don't have right now. And if you're wondering why I don't have it, I know a lot of people have been trying to say that I've, spent all my money on weed and drugs and nothing. But that's not the case. And this is something I'm going to have to talk about after I'm done with my Hero's Journey series. But I'm going to be spending a lot of time discussing the Bitcoin bubble, as people are calling it, the cryptocurrency bubble, because I got fucked by it. When the SEC decided that you aren't allowed to trade from a bank to a cryptocurrency exchange, all the money that I had invested into Bitcoin in order to make what you had already sent me grow became immediately inaccessible to me. And now I'm sitting on about a Bitcoin and a quarter that I can't spend, I can't send anywhere, and I can't exchange because most of the direct exchanges are completely fucking well, they're scams. I lost 50 bucks trying to experiment with one because I was in such a tight position, and I'm not going to waste the money that's been sent to me more. It was a very poor choice on my part to invest that in Bitcoin without realizing the SEC might do something shitty. However, I also had no way to predict it before it happened. That said, I'm not going to give up. I still have to get insurance. I still have to get into Moffitt Medical Center. My referral's already been sent there. It's just a matter of getting the insurance money together for the beginning of October once insurance enrollment periods open again. So you can help with that at either of those links if those are the best ways to send me money right now. Honestly, PayPal is just shit. Alternatively, I also set up a Venmo account. If Venmo is easier for you. I know for a lot of millennials, Venmo is becoming more and more popular. So if sending money that way works better for you, then absolutely send it that way. But at this point, I don't like begging for money. I'd much rather work for it. So if you want me to, if you're considering helping me get the $100 I need for Monday, but would rather see me do some work for it, please send me a DM on Twitter or on Discord and let me know what I can do for you to earn that money, because that's all I want to do. I don't want to beg. I want to do my part. I want to earn my living. So yeah, if you do me that honor, I will do you whatever honor you need me to for it to be worth it. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me for the show. I am going to bring up the closing song now because that's all I've got. Thank you all so much.